Hello, hello. Welcome
Hello,
to me, number 158. I didn't update the website yet, but my name is Sweemengs.
and I am Tristan.
Yep. So Chilean won't be here today because he's sick. Uh, okay, it's not so serious. It's not COVID, but it's bad. Okay, it's bad. So give me a while. This is the actual mic I'm using. So yes, let's show our event. La la la. Windows. Meetups. In short, nothing happening until end of the year. That's it. Actually, there's something happening next week, next weekend, not this weekend. So yeah, after that will be Christmas. Yeah, I think there's not much happening. So that's it. Shall we go to Bus Corner? Let's go to Bus Corner.
Let's do that.
So, do you heard of uh the CDK toolkit from AWS?
Nope, I haven't been really doing AWS stuff, so most of
Yeah.
these things are new to me.
Okay, so as it turns out, I actually use it. I kind of like it. I may have said it multiple times. So CDK actually recently come out with version 2.0. Uh, it's not as feature complete as I want it, as I discovered recently, but it's pretty interesting. So what the CDK toolkit does is actually what we call orchestration tool for AWS infrastructure. So they can what this actually do is it will generate the CloudFormation template with all the data, and we actually execute the CloudFormation template to deploy your infrastructure. So, for example, in what I actually use it in Superhands is I use it to create a VPC, set up a ECS instance. Experimentally, it didn't work. I tried. I set up database and whatnot. It's pretty cool actually. It's pretty cool. And unlike using CloudFormation alone, so one of the good thing is this is programming languages, so you can actually mock programmable. So you can potentially use your favorite configuration language to actually store configuration to generate infrastructure the way you want.
Hmm.
And this is actually pretty cool also because certain things actually pretty annoying. So if you use things like if you use let's say you want to deploy a reasonably complex VPC, which you actually do, you need to set up your public IP, your public subnet, private subnet. Then you need to set up. Then you need to make sure it covers a few region just in case. Then you need to set up a security and whatnot. So you can use VPC to do that, and that's actually how I do it. Then
Mm-hmm.
but also it doesn't do everything that I like. For example, it cannot set up Redis. But yeah, if you want to use this is actually very cool. So I use in Python because Python is the sysadmin language. I mean, sysadmin more tolerate Python more than other language for some reason. So yeah,
Mm-hmm.
but the first class language they supported is actually TypeScript, which is actually weird, but it is what it is. So yeah, version 2, I'm looking forward to it. Oh yeah, one interesting thing here is Construct Hub. So AWS CDK actually all the toolkit that they have for EC2 and all that is called a construct. So so that now they actually allow third party to actually provide a construct to build our community, because you don't get CDK actually cover a lot of stuff, but certain thing they just don't do. Like I said before, Redis is something they don't do yet. So yeah. Next one, Trader is now part of Twitter. So Twitter recently had a number of interesting change. The CEO left because the CEO Jack Dorsey also founded Square. Then he left Twitter and focused on Square. Nowadays called Block. So yeah, and then Twitter goes to start the monetization plan. So there is a Twitter Blue. I do not know whether it's available to us.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, then yeah, uh, interesting thing happening. For us tech community, we are not on Twitter that much, but on Malaysia, Twitter is interesting because the political discussion is there if you happen to be in the circle. So it's still important for some reason. So it doesn't. Okay, so Twitter Blue only available in all these countries, so it's not available for us now. Oh well. Next one. So Ubiquity Dev charged for trying to extort his employer. Here's what I say about this: don't do it. So what do you think about this, Tristan?
Well, if swimming says don't do it, then don't do it.
Yeah.
It's
Put it this way.
that's how it is.
You may work in the industry. The most effective way to actually join the company and whatnot is by not being an asshole at minimum. So I'm not asking you to kumbaya, help each other, kiss and all that, but be nice. And this definitely crosses the line. When you start extort your employer, that's it. Everything. There's a term for that. Okay, either way, you just burn your bridges, right? I mean, this is worse than me saying the relation tech communities. I still had this agreement, but so this is pretty bad, right?
Mhm.
So yeah, so this is like the lowest tier. The one more tier above is you write unreadable code in code. So this is worse than that one. So yeah. So I'm going to move on to the next one. Pip Audit. So a lot of you guys may already npm actually already had do audit on security on your packages and what that to check for vulnerabilities. Do Ruby have that?
Yep, we have you can also run it usually as a part of CI. So when you check in
Yeah.
your code, it checks all of these things.
Yes. Is it by default or is something you have to add?
Well, the pipeline one, because it depends on your CI, right? So you have to add it by
Yep.
default.
Yep.
Sorry, but you have to add it. It's not by default, but
Yep.
the checking, no, you'd probably need to run a program. I mean, the what they call this, the gem command, the one that
Yep.
that does the installs libraries, right? Would
Mm-hmm.
assume that you know that what you're doing for that, for example, because there are many old Ruby programs that
Yep.
what they call this, that rely or depend on older gems, and so it does not
Yep.
prevent you from doing that, but
Mm-hmm.
you do have a bundler audit command.
Right. So on Python, we don't have that by default. People want that for a while because as Python, the language, begin to use in financial industry, for example, there's more demand for this kind of thing to be more secure. So Java have that indirectly with Sona, Cube, and all that. They have multiple of those. Python don't have that. Python had a whole tradition of being used by system person, primarily system person, which know what we're doing, and we still had the same problem of old package and all that. Python also is in a very weird environment situation where it's being used in financial. It began to be used in the financial industry. I do not say the financial industry adopted it. We can get in. Once you get in, you need to do a lot of things. So yeah, I'm looking forward to this. And this actually supported by Google, but not a Google product. So it actually returned this format. All this format is actually survey biomaterial. This is actually so in the US, there's a for government project, there's a demand to actually have a bill of material, so bill of material for auditing a supply chain. If you do manufacturing, you already have that, where your plastic come from, where your electronic come from, etc. If you do hardware hacking, you begin to see a lot of this as well. This is reasonably new-ish when it comes to software. So this is actually under the Cyber Supply Chain Transparency Act. This is actually required by the US government, but I do not know if Malaysia have that. But there is there'll be more people that wants this as thing goes through.
Mhm.
So, but the bid didn't pass, but there is a demand for it for a while. So yeah, software bill of materials. Read about it. Something you will need to know. Pip Audit and all that. I'm looking forward to it. Hopefully, this is something that is useful for everyone. Next, Python on Wasm. With this, I do not need to see JavaScript anymore. I hope. One hope. So M scripting is actually a way for you to write. It's a way to enable the possibility to run native application, primarily Linux on your web browser. So it can do a lot of stuff already. For example, Camel is runnable on your browser using M scripting. So Python in theory should have that as well. So yeah, M scripting is actually pretty cool. You already can run Camel. As a result, you can run Linux. So you can run Linux on the browser that happens to run on Linux or whatever OS you use. So yeah, M scripting. Are you looking forward to this? Do you think?
Not really.
Really?
Well,
M
well,
scripting.
see, well, M scripting, yes, but the thing is,
Yeah.
So the browser becomes the platform itself, right? So it's still
Yep.
quite early. Like what else? What instead of native stuff? So what would be very interesting is everything is cross platform. Aside from
Yep.
let's say browsers, it also runs on mobile phones, and
Yes.
this requires a browser, which can be a bit difficult. Like you have to run the browser and then run the application, right? So
Correct.
if there is a way to bundle Wasm with a platform and then run that. So I think it's similar to what Electron is doing, except that
Yep.
Electron is running a whole website,
Browser
right?
suite.
JavaScript
Yeah.
thing. But if you
Correct.
can do it, if Wasm or like all of these things can be packaged to all of these targets, then that would be something I'm looking forward to.
Yeah, actually, Wasm there is already project I want to run Wasm on non-browser environment. The one that makes sense to me is actually provide a runtime for operating system. That makes sense. The craziest one is somebody attempt to implement Wasm for on the FPGA. Let me see if I can dig up the link. Wasm FPGA. Let's see. Oh, it's Wasm. Wasm machine. Here you are. Okay, that is earlier than early, but it's a runtime. It's doable. It's a runtime. It's doable. Maybe things will get interesting. Maybe we will have yet another runtime. It used in the old days. This used to be Java and Java applet, then Flash. Then on the lower level we have LLVM, Java LLVM. Now we have Wasm. Things will get really interesting.
Oh,
So
what's
that's it.
how is it so different from a Java virtual machine?
Oh no, I'm just saying. This okay. The syntax is different, but otherwise, none really. On a high level, none really. Implementation, of course, is different. This is more similar to the Flash virtual machine than Java virtual machine, because Java virtual machine actually implemented ground up to be optimized for operating system. Run on operating system, and more importantly hardware, which is why the Spark processor actually do have optimization for Java. Then before Sun Microsystem closed down, there is actually very interesting Jvm hardware that's embedded. Jvm hardware. So there is Java processor. The Java processor is done to that. To be honest, if you do computer engineering, it's done to that because people actually because those things are the Java virtual machine. Java bytecode is like an assembly environment. Then there is various embedded project that uses implement Java on the bytecode level. It's really interesting stuff. They do. It's just that when Sun closed down, so Sun got very successful during .com days because Linux is not that mature, and you want to deploy that our class of software nowadays. You need hardware, and the hardware tend to be Sun, right? Tend to be Sun or IBM. Then the .com boom goes down. Then people move to Linux, right? People just move to Linux. Then the cloud comes in. Java just lose out. Then they're bought by Sun Microsystem in the end. But before they got bought, they do a lot of very interesting. They do a lot of very interesting R&D on the system level. They are one of the last company that do industrial research on computing. So the ZFS, that's from Sun. Then the what you call this? The G just-in-time compiler. Sun do very good research on it, and they actually have a very performant virtual machine because they own the space for a long time. What else? Then they do virtualization, but their virtualization is a lot behind the scene thing. So whereas IBM do very interesting virtualization, Zen research on that days. So yeah, Sun Microsystem do a lot of interesting stuff, but unfortunately, Sun Microsystem is also one of the moral of story. We can have the coolest technology, but we do not know how to sell it. That's it, actually. So
Well, they
and it's also
got sold, right? I mean, they sold themselves, so I guess
correct,
that's
but
something.
they're in trouble for a very long time. So because nobody wants their hardware anymore, they do very good engineering. It's just that then after that, the last CEO, they actually open source a lot of stuff. So which is ironic because by open source, there's a lot of adoption of their technology. And they also adopt MySQL and all that to the company that keep them open source and whatnot. But here's the ironic part: they can't make money out of it. So yes, they have the respect for us as an engineer, but they just do not. We just if you don't give money, that's it. So that's the really ironic part. So let's go a bit about Sun. So what happened is Oracle bought it, but here's the interesting thing: the Sun Ecosystem campus is actually bought by Facebook. It's now Facebook headquarters, and a lot of quite a few of the Sun engineers actually go to Google now. And they go to a few places. I think Google is one of the big one. So yeah, random story from swimming. Next one. Python was some done. The factorial blueprint analyzer just so this is a visualization for factorial just because I think it's interesting. So yeah, move on. AWS event actually happened quite a bit. A lot of behind the scenes stuff, but they always have new stuff around now. So you have Kinesis for data stream on demand, so you can stream data. Lake formation for you to do table with compaction, as I said, behind the scenes stuff. S3 event notification with Event Bridge. It used to be S3 event is actually their own thing. Now we can just use Event Bridge. Event Bridge is very flexible actually.
Well,
It's scary.
all of these require that you need to have an Amazon
You-
account because you have to pay Amazon, right?
Yeah, when you use this technology, you're marrying to. Unfortunately, it also means that you marry to the technology and you want to quote unquote like actual divorce. It's actually quite messy because now you have to find alternative for all these things. So it's unfortunate, but yeah. So this is something I keep reminding myself a lot. But just know that the tool exists, but just don't rely on it and all that. So yeah. Then a lot of SageMaker stuff. SageMaker is interesting because you can easily deploy your code as an API. Google have that as well, actually. So I was hoping to use use SageMaker to actually summarize our thing, but it got expensive. I just lazy. There's a M1 Mac instance for you to test your iPhone your iDevices, as in do CI and all that. So this is cool if you need it. Graviton, blah blah blah, Graviton, blah blah blah. Dynamo table class, blah blah blah. A lot of the behind the scenes stuff, but if you're interested, check it out. Next on Amazon, there's an outage, and as usual, is when we are sleeping. So it takes down a lot of the service. So Alexa, Ring, Disney Plus, interestingly, and some delivery. So
Yeah,
this is one of those.
the Amazon outages have been happening multiple times over the past
Correct.
10 years. And it's
Correct.
interesting that people still don't, or these large companies still don't do like failovers over different data centers. I think Netflix has changed them. Like that's why they have these chaos engineering stuff now, because they've learned about it. But like what we've been saying over when we were doing the security episodes a few episodes ago, you don't want to learn as much as possible. You don't want to learn by facing all of these downtimes or failures yourself. Learn from others. Other people have been failing, and then so you learn from it, because these are very expensive mistakes or very expensive lessons.
Correct. So it's one of those things that again I try to bring into the company. So we should prepare for failure instead of waiting for failure to face us. If you get used to it, that's a problem actually. That's actually a problem. So yeah, learn from it. Do exercise, plan for your failures and all that. I do not know 100% how to do that. I'm learning, but yes. There's an old joke about software engineering. If software engineers were to build a house, the first woodpecker that comes in will actually take down the house. And this is actually true because when we deploy code, we can take down everything quite easily. So yes, GraphQL on PostgreSQL. So if I don't like PostgreSQL, but if you need it, you get it lah. So it's a plugin on it. You can actually output your query into GraphQL, but you can convert GraphQL to SQL. As you can see, the conversion to SQL is actually quite messy, which is why I really do not like GraphQL, but front-end people love it, and I understand why, because as it turns out, not everyone have a fat pipe, especially on your mobile. So if you can selectively select a payload to get in, that's awesome. But man, the hardware, the query from the hardware, my goodness. So yeah, anything to add on this? No.
No,
I'm gonna move on.
Not really.
Yeah, I don't like GraphQL, but one of these days I have to face it. Oh, actually, I'm done. So this is actually everything else that I try to test on my thing. So Tristan already tell you about the watch, right? You talk about the watch, right?
I don't know. I mean, it's good to hear from you as well, because I've been working with this watch for like almost 5 years now. Well, not the watch, but the project. But for you, I think this one of your first time. I think this is your first time with Esprino, right? Aside from hearing it from me.
Correct. So this is this is dirty. Interesting. Okay, so like Tristan, I actually had a watch. Let me close the window.
Can you do it picture in picture? Yeah, I think picture in picture is good.
Yeah, let me. How do I do picture in picture? No, I'm
already. We're
okay.
already on picture in picture.
So this is actually the Bango JS 2. The first Bango JS is actually round. So this I actually try to use it as an end user. It's not too bad. I use it end user in the way that I went out recently to get some groceries. I wear it. It's actually very viewable outside on the sun. Yeah, on a sunny day, so it's not too bad. But here is actually the biggest caveat. One, if you get this end user, this watch doesn't do a lot of stuff. It does not do a lot of stuff. So this is actually a real problem. But that being said, as a developer watch, this is actually very interesting. Let me get you the specification. I did not code on it because I got distracted by advent of code. Okay, here you are. So, but I'm actually looking forward to it because, unlike a lot of the hardware system, I want to get the text back. A lot of the thing are if you want to do things like, okay, so first thing, let's talk about the back capability. You have a screen, of course. Then you have the vibration, so that you can vibrate, and you can see when you see it. All these are JavaScript. I don't like JavaScript, but I do not like JavaScript, but they have the right idea in a way that they have the right idea because JavaScript is still compared to Arduino, JavaScript is still an easier language.
No, it's also an evented by design, an
Correct.
evented language.
Correct.
It's very difficult to do something like a procedural or imperative language like C.
Correct.
On something like a watch where you have a lot of things happening simultaneously. You have your watch that you need to update every second or even milliseconds if you have that on your watch face. And then you have to handle button presses. You have to handle touch presses. And in this case, it has sensors. So you have to handle like, okay, do I turn on the LCD, turn off the LCD, or the barometer, the GPS, all of that needs to happen simultaneously. Well, not simultaneously, but in
On
almost in
demand.
real time. Yeah.
Correct.
And doing that, imagine doing it in C. You'll have like if this, if that, and then you have like a while loop, a while true loop
Correct.
running over and over. It's just going to eat up that battery.
Yes. So what happened if you use Arduino on, let's say, ESP? So what happened is, for everything that needs UI, what you really ends up with, you would have like a big loop. So they will actually ask you to have a loop and register your application. So behind the scene, what all this framework does is precisely what Tristan said. It's a loop that, if you're lucky, run behind a thread-like system in the RTOS, so it will run in the background. So RTOS-based operating system can do that, depending on the hardware. ESP can do it. The NRF definitely can do it. So Arduino can, just because it's a bit more archaic. So which is why when you want to do UI-based thing on Arduino, it's actually very hard. So JavaScript had the right idea. It's the right abstraction. So it's the right abstraction for a lot of these things. So yeah, a lot of the thing is on JavaScript. So, and another thing that I really like about this device is the hackability. What do I mean by hackability? So it's a lot of things are open. You can change your firmware if you want to. So a good example is this is running on INRF52, I believe. Was it INRF52? No, actually it's running on something else. Let me get the text
which
back
one?
again.
This one is NRF 52840. The original bangle, the round one, is NRF 52832. So this one is faster.
So the NRF 52 series is possible to run MicroPython, right, if you do choose on it, but the caveat is you may not get the support for your peripheral for this thing. So there's caveat, but the opportunity is there, meaning you can hack as crazy as you want it if you're willing to take the risk. But another virtue I like about this is I'm pairing here. You can program it on your browser, meaning you can program it on your, you can literally program it without extra setup, to be honest. Okay, I'm on Linux, so I need to do a bit extra, but if you, let's say you're on Windows, on Chrome, you're ready to run. on Mac, you can delete. You can actually install your software. You can actually install your software for you to make it easy, so they have all the support you need. So they make life easy for you to code. So let's see. Okay, so first thing you need to see about the IDE. This all in browser. I do not install any. I did not install any application. I do have it, but this is actually on the browser tab. There's a few things. Choose storage if you want to store your application. Do not flash your code, please. Unless you want to write a watch app, then it is. Then store in RAM for sake of hacking. So this is what I will do. So this is actually the generic. This is simply the generic on and off. So it's on the radar. It's flashing. Error, function not found. Because this thing doesn't have. Oh, it doesn't do what it does. Let me go through other demo. This is actually very new. To be honest, this is actually very new. So it may not work as expected.
So can you try again? Sorry, Control Z, flash again to RAM.
No, it's something error here. Function not found.
No, because
There's no LED one. There's no LED one for this.
yeah,
right?
because it's running the watch firmware right now. So
Yep.
you want to run it into storage and then reboot the watch, and then yes, it will do the flashing thing. If
Yep.
you want to recover it, then you need to flash the app again through the thing.
Right. So I need to.
Well, I mean, it depends. If you want to do that, it will probably take you a few, like 30 minutes to do the whole thing. Because right now
Yep.
it's running all of these files, right? So you want to clear
Yep.
it and just have this. Like what Sweemeng
Yep.
is saying, the firmware is written in JavaScript. Like JavaScript,
Yes.
whatever you write on the right side of this thing is the firmware.
Yep.
So you'll see, like, for example, if you go to the storage, you have all of those files, right? Like all of those
Yep.
files constitute the firmware of the watch, which is
Yep.
why if you replace it, then of course you have
Yes.
your program running, but you don't have a watch unless your program is a
Correct.
watch.
Yes. So it's current run on RAM, meaning I do not intend this to happen. How do I change this back? I don't know. This is my first time
You
doing
just turn it off and turn it on again because you did it to RAM.
Yeah. Yep. And it's back up. It's back up. So end user thing. So these coding things, all the coding things. I really want to try the heart rate. I wonder why it doesn't work for me. Oh well. End user thing, very important. So
For the heart rate, you would probably just want what they call this, a watch app, like a Bangle app, because
yep,
that's
correct.
like it's already it's too. I would say this is a second layer of abstraction. Now you have to
Yep.
write a watch app, right? But
Yep.
it will be too low level if you want to go just directly to the heart rate monitor, because you can have a heart rate
Correct.
monitor, but it's just going to be numbers. It's not even going to show to the LCD, because once you replace the code with the heart rate monitor, it's just going to run heart rate monitor. It's not even going to output anything unless you want it to output something.
Correct. So let's say you are not coder, which I doubt most of you are not. You have the application. I did not test this yet, but here's the catch: if you expect this as an end user thing, you do not get Android integration by default. You don't get iOS integration by default. Allow this to FA. Oh, this is cool. I need to set this up, but I don't. I need to set up my 2FA code as well. So a lot of people, some people actually use Pebble-based code to bring it over. Interestingly, so yeah, and there's actually a lot of clock app, so which I also find very interesting. So yeah, if you do want to do this, so pair. So let's see what I want to test. I don't have anything I want to test though. Ooh, asteroid. Let me try this. Upload app. So it's uploading.
Oh, you're not showing it. You have to show
Oh.
it towards the center of the webcam. Yeah.
Okay. Hold button to reload. So I need to hold button. So unfortunately, this is very hard for me, to be honest.
Yeah, it's not. So you have to put it at the center of the lens because we have. Yeah.
I know it's very hard for me because I can't see things. So I can play it somehow.
Or you can
So
just
you
run the
can put a-
emulator.
Yeah, you can run the emulator, but where do I run the emulator?
There's
What
like the
emulator?
emulation. Yeah.
Yep, here you are, here you are, here you are. I'm showing you right now. Bango.js 2. Let me switch. Let me switch over. Let me switch to another Windows. You know what? I may have to switch full screen. This will be annoying. I apologize. I apologize. Oh, can you see here? Yes. Let me switch. Okay, better, right? So you can actually use. Here's the cool thing. Let's say you don't want to commit to watch. You can use an emulator to test it, and you're welcome to do that. And this is the cool part. So if you do not need it, you do not want it, you have emulator for it. And this is a much more friendly emulator in a way that, unlike your phone, you watch and all that, you need to install a lot of stuff. This is just running on browser because this is JavaScript, which is awesome. So let's see whether there is another emulator to show. Asteroid. And because JavaScript, I suspect that because this is JavaScript, you can. This actually runs on. This actually runs as a web application. I do not know for sure, to be honest. And I do not know how to navigate it. But it is connected. You can see the source code. This is actually another different thing versus your App Store. So there's no proprietary code here, which is interesting. So as I said, this is a developer device, so this is to be expected. Oh, they went mscripting. Interesting. Let's go one more. Let's go to the last one. You can. There's a command line claw. I'm trying to see. Show me something cool that you want to see.
I've seen a lot of them. You can run the dinosaur thing. You can go to the games tab.
To that.
Go to the
Dinosaur
games
is done
tab.
to that.
Go to the games tab. Yeah, you can try it. Flappy Bird.
Yeah, those things are done to that. No offense.
T-Rex.
These things are done to it. But you can also, if you want something more useful.
That's the thing, right? It's like the to-do app for frameworks. They're done to death because, and they're being used for samples because everyone understands what they do and their capabilities. That's why they're done to death like that.
Correct. Also, finally, this thing actually have GPS, so which is actually very interesting because you can actually download an offline map and load OpenStreetMap on it. I do not know how to run this in a simulator. How do I run this on a simulator?
The GPS?
Yeah. I don't think it's
no. Yeah, it depends. So the app writer needs to target the emulator.
Okay.
It can be sometimes difficult, especially for hardware, because not all hardware is emulated.
Yep. But I just installed this. Hot tracking, speed though. Oh, interesting. Where is OpenStreetMap? Give me a moment. I should have it. Anton's clock asteroid. Okay, last one. Last one. If this doesn't work, then I pretty much show the next thing that is interesting to me. Oh, OpenStreetMap did not load. Okay, I figured that out later. Oh, I'm sorry, I clicked the wrong button. Load map tiles. How do I install it? Get map. Okay, forget it. I figure it out later. So you can do GPS on this and all that. It is technically a smartwatch. And of course, one last thing. This thing, Esprit is the first high-level language that actually comes with the TF Lite micro code interpreter. That's the interpreter you use to run TensorFlow Lite micro. So this is the first high language that have that. So yeah, that's a plus point for me. Even though I don't like JavaScript, but they do a lot of things right. So yes. So will I spend more time hacking this guy? Yes. Do I integrate this to my phone yet? No, I did not integrate this to my phone yet. Should I? Yes, but I do not have anything. So for example, I need to add a lot of stuff before I can do that.
You need something called a gadget bridge.
Yeah. So I installed F-Droid, but gadget bridge need to be installed on F-Droid, and installing F-Droid is actually pretty scary because to install F-Droid you need to get the APK file, which is absolutely against all advice that I tell everyone. But it's F-Droid, so you have to trust them lah. So yeah, I think it'll be fun to hack if I need once advanced code is finished, because that is only getting more harder. But another JS hardware, Park.js, because it sounds like a park. Actually, a bit bigger than my tracker. Oh, sorry. My earphone hit the mic. I'm so sorry. So it actually is quite bigger than my tracker, but it had almost the same capability, except sound. Let's see whether I can program it. No. Let me select Park.js. So this Park.js. This will definitely run the LED, so it blinks. Again, we do this to that, but it's there. The assembly is also very interesting.
Have you opened it?
Yes, I did. I have to, because otherwise you cannot install the battery. So to unwrap this thing, so you see the board, yeah, just a plastic, and that's it. And it powered by a coin-cell battery. This is the 232 battery. The so-called RGB LEDs, because there is 3 different color LED on board. So I think it's a bit cheating, but I think that's cool. I forgive you.
Why is it cheating?
Oh, it's not a one RGB LED thing, so.
Well, because that's not just to control that you need a protocol, and
correct.
This is for basic electronics, right? So you turn the circuit on or off, and it's just like happens to be 3 circuits that you need to complete. For that one,
correct.
It's more complicated. So
correct.
This is a lot simpler, and a lot less power hungry as well.
Correct.
Right.
So this
is coin cell operated. So you want to
correct.
have as little battery operation as possible.
Correct. So and there's quite a few things that is very cool to test it. I already tested this, and this is cool. Let me flash you. I sound very dirty, but ignore me. So now this is a magnetometer. It works when I control it. This is actually very cool. The reason is this gives me a opportunity to use it as a HID device. Oh yeah, this actually have HID support, meaning you can use this as a controller device. Okay, field detection doesn't work for 2.1. La la la. Then, more importantly, here's the cool thing about Espino, which I really respect. To be honest, I really respect. If you can do it on the browser, it means you actually open up opportunity for people to hack on. So see, now I get my accelerometer. Oh no, this is my accelerometer. Let me close this.
You just turned on the accelerometer. You're not outputting anything.
Yeah. I on it, but I need to off this so that it doesn't distract from this. PubJS accelerometer. Then I apologize for my brother laughing so loud. So So at this rate, I'm just being petty, just by saying that you have too many callbacks. But on the other hand, this is the easiest way for you to.
How would you do it in C, for example?
Correct.
Like, how would you do it on C? It's going to be very difficult.
Correct. No, my biggest
callback.
complaint about callback function is you keep embedding your function instead of defining a function and embedding it inside. As I say, it's very petty. It's very petty.
But you know, you can name the function, because what you're writing now is an anonymous function. I mean, you can name it as the callback function for this and then pass it in. So that might make it cleaner.
Correct. But this is why event-based language is awesome, and this is why JavaScript is being picked up on your browser, because they actually can handle events. They actually handle events, which is why I may hate JavaScript, but I respect JavaScript for this, to be honest. So this thing, what you want to do with this, a lot of stuff. This thing is like a light version of your Arduino. This is a more friendlier version of your Arduino hardware hacking with all the sensors, and all that. You can do blink. IR, I do not know where the output IR. I do not know whether if I need to take out the electronic and use it.
It's IR. So the silicone and the plastic, it's not going to.
Oh, interesting. More importantly, this thing, how they connect to this is by Bluetooth, and you can use Bluetooth as well. So you definitely can use this as a beacon. So you can use it as a beacon. You can use, and they do have support for this automatically. They have magnetometer, gyroscope, accelerometer. They can do quite a lot of stuff because all the onboard sensor, and this is very small. So I do not trust this in front of my dog, meaning I would not trust it to tag into my dog, for example, but I can use it to track my dog if I want to. And if you so do incline, the GPIO is inside, but you need to solder the pins for you to use it. And those GPIO include analog and mostly digital, so you can do whatever that you need to do. So capacitive sense. And the reason to do that is so that you can have capacitive sensing, so that you can actually put a capacitive sensing sensor for you to have a touch button somewhere, right? Somewhere. You have the NRF toolbox, but more importantly, you can update everything on the browser. As I say, this is the friendliest way for you to write. This is the friendliest way for you to get into embedded development. So far, if you want to get into hardware hacking, you need to install Arduino. Not hard, but painful. Not really painful, but extra step. The Espruino, what I really respect on browser, you're ready to go, and you have option. So here's the option: you can do emulation. So you can use emulator if you're not committing it. Emulator is pretty important if you only for phone but not on Pop.js, which is hard to simulate anyway. What else? No, this money I like how they implement the thing, and I respect that. I really respect that. I actually try to find.
So there are you can take a look at the tutorials as well.
Yes.
Yeah, well, you can click on POC.js and then because the API reference could be too large. It's everything
correct.
basically. But if you go to
they
the
have lots of-
POC.js site, then you can have tutorials specifically for the POC.js.
Then they actually had a lot of the thing like microbit specific, not MCU specific. The Espruino can run. Espruino is this is actually the one I want to show. Oh, Telnet server. The Espruino can actually run on the ESP32 and Node MCU with ESP8266. You can run those. So Espruino is the whole class of firmware for you to use for hardware hacking for your browser, right? For your browser. But this is the one that I'm really interested. This is how you run your TensorFlow micro for you to do machine learning. And of course, you can run TensorFlow micro on it, which is actually very cool. That's just me. Or what else do I have? Where's the tutorial? Oh, here you are. Oh, and also Espruino can actually runs on a few hardware. Last one. Okay, maybe not last one, but I actually have this. I try to find it.
Yeah, let's see that one on the left side. Can you scroll up? Scroll up a bit
Which
more.
one?
It says
This one.
IR. Yeah, infrared record and playback. So this is like controlling something.
Yes.
So you basically because you need how infrared remotes work, right? It sends out encoded light signals. And so because the POC.js can receive and send IR. So what you do is you use your remote control point it to the POC so that you can record the signals and then play it back. And so that now you have a copy of those things. But only for dumb remote controls. Some remote controls do like proper. It's like your OTP, so it changes every time. So that is more difficult to copy.
Actually, the last one I want to show. Okay, there's a lot, but you know what? I'm going to see what there is. So as it turns out, I have this guy. I have this thing. This is actually the Viola. Oh, they lost it. Damn it. So this thing here is actually called the Viola. Forget this. C Studio actually used to have a line of product before they had the Viola thing. Viola line of product. So it's actually they expose the GPIO. They expose the GPIO through a browser. So no, actually to an API. So you actually use what they call it. What do they call it? The JST connector, right? You use the connectors, then you put a sensor, then because of the cloud service, and register your device to cloud service. So you can use your API to actually control your sensor, which is actually very cool. But unfortunately, I think the product died out, so it's not supported anymore. This one is called, it's actually a dead product. But that thing actually runs on ESP8266. So I suppose which is why you can run it. It's this line up, but I forget what hardware is this. That thing used to run the Sina project water detector. So yeah. Okay. That's about it. Do we are hack it? Yes. We are hack it more? Definitely. will I stop hacking? I do not know. I probably don't do it anymore, but you know, maybe you know, I probably going to show more of this in the future, more of this. But till then, Advent of Code 2021.
Which one are you now at?
I'm on the latest, the most current.
Do you want to at
And
least give people like a sneak peek of what if they want to try it out?
so
Like what is this
so
about?
first day is very easy. First day is just you have this number, just read it and do all that. So this the easy one. Uh, then I'm going to show you something else as well. I'm going to share as a new window instead. I'm going to share as a new window. It's relevant. I assure you, it's relevant. Repo.it, Advent of Code. I'm going to stop sharing and then share another window. Chrome window. So I implement my thing on. I'm using Python because I just want to solve problem instead of learning language, because the question can be pretty. How I would say it can be pretty challenging. So, and also I'm sorry for this mess, but as it turns out, Replit doesn't run the script within without a main function. So let's go to the question first. Firstly, it's very easy. So it's actually basic pattern. So you have to understand a pattern and look for it. But yesterday is interesting. Let's do yesterday first. Yesterday we'll look at the question. The question here is, you had a 7-segment display, but unfortunately the wire that do the 7-segment display are jumbled. So you do not know which wire do what. But as it turns out, as in 7-segment display is, there is several numbers that is guaranteed to be unique. So the anything with 2 segment on must be a 1. Because as it turns out, the 7-segment display in this story works properly. Okay, that works properly despite the wire jumbled up. So yeah, that's the story part. So anything with 2 segment must be a 1. Anything with 4 segment must be a 7. Anything with anything with 3 segment must be a 7, and anything with a 7 segment must be a 8. So 3, so 2, 4, 3, 8, 7. Then you realize that why we choose that, because this make things easy. So do you think should I tell people how to solve it, or I should
No,
leave it up?
I think yeah, just leave it up. It's just how interesting it is. Like what kinds of things will you like?
Yeah.
What's your takeaway when you're solving it?
So as it turns out, the first thing is you need to read to your question. So for example, it's not a spoiler. I'm not telling you the solution, but you need to read through everything. In my case, as it turns out, most location had 4 adjacent location: up, down, left, right. So meaning today, so this is actually a map. This is a map, and we have to find the lowest point. So yeah, then you have to find adjacent. So what happened is I only read adjacent, which means all the corner. But as it turns out, I missed this final sentence, and it took me the whole all of my break time to solve the problem. So as it turns out, adjacent in this case, it just means that the left, right, and up, down. That's about it. So as a result, you really need to read through the thing to understand it. Once you understand it, everything's easy. The code is reasonably easy. So I implemented 2 versions of it. One with recursion, one with not. But because I panic and try to rush it, so my code is a bit messy. Messy in a way. It's a bit hard to read, but it's fun. So for example, and the problem only sound hard. The problem is only sound hard. So for example, yesterday problem again. Remember the wire that jump around? How do you solve? And all these things are the signals. Then how do you figure out which is this signal? What is the meaning? what is this signal display on the 7-segment display, right?
Mhm.
So as it turns out, to do that, it's really not about coding and all that. It's about pattern recognition. So once you, and in this question, we brute force it because the problem, the input that we use, that's day 8. So this input is only 200 line. There's 200 line and there's only 10 permutation. So it's absolutely fine for to brute force. So everyone is one of those questions. Do not worry about a generic solution. Do not worry about advanced algorithm. You do not need advanced algorithm, to be honest. But you do need to understand the problem, and you do need to implement logic. So, for example, the radar max field. So this is actually the question. This is also a fun question. Day 7. Day 7. There's a crab that need help. That you need to move the crab. Again, the problem only sound hard, but if you think deeper, it's actually simple logic. But it's simple in logic, but unfortunately, it's not feasible for you to do it by hand most of the time, simply because there's too many steps. So realistically, you most probably going to use code. It's doable if you are very patient. If you're very patient, but even the Excel people use macro, I believe. So yeah, advent of code is very fun, and the what you get out of it is not that you're sure that you're smart, so the solution. No, you try your hand on solution, and you compare the solution against other people. So you're interested in solving it. Join engineers.my Slack group under code. We actually discuss our solutions. So, and we discuss about different technique and different tools. So, and this is actually where I discovered technique. So here's one of my favorite technique that I discovered. Is this here? No, it's here. It's here. So how do you? It's something that I thought about last year. How do you do a nested loop within one loop? So as it turns out, Python had a thing called a product, and it's really what it means. It's a dot product of two lists, two iterables in this case, two lists. So in this case, with product, it would generate all the permutations of these two joined together, and you still get n squared, to be honest, but the code is a lot more readable. So if you're lucky, you actually will use this to actually discover techniques like this lah. So then another thing is how do you represent coordinate? You do not save x, y, and z. You can actually, in most language, you can save a tuple and use a tuple in the set. If you don't have a set, then a hash map is perfectly acceptable, because a hash map key is guaranteed to be unique. Then you can use this to actually keep track of your uniqueness of a coordinate. So for example, so yeah, join it. You might learn something out of it, and if you like to solve puzzle, it's fun. So yeah, advent of code, and it's 11. So that being said, I think we should say goodbye. Yep. So yeah, thanks for listening to us. I have
see you next week.
I do not know what's the plan next week, but let's see. To be honest. Ta-da!
Bye.